Hi everyone, Kate here for my May reading wrap up. This will be part one out of the two. And the first that I finished at the very beginning of the month had started in April, and that is Winter in Thrush Green. This is the second Thrush Green book, and I enjoyed this one just as much as the first. So excited to be continuing on with Miss Read books. And this is definitely, if you want next winter, if you want something that feels very on brand for winter, this is a really great one to read. And there's lots of people kind of grumbling about the weather, and just kind of the people versus winter is the theme of this book, and just making it through, but getting to see the different relationships that happen. And my neighbor just started mowing his lawn, so hopefully it is not too loud in the video. But I loved Winter in Thrush Green. And now the next thing that I read was Twelfth Night, the play by William Shakespeare. And I think my Shakespeare project, all of the excitement I had at the beginning is gone a little bit. And I have even trouble kind of wording my thoughts for you as to why. So I did enjoy this, and I'm really in awe of the creativity and the plot constructing that Shakespeare does, and kind of taking these older Greek plays and making them his own. It is really fascinating, but at the end of the day, the plot lines stress me out. The obstacles that are there, the misunderstandings, people being in disguise, and it's like the intensity of a Victorian novel, but condensed into a play. And so it feels a bit like I have whiplash at the end, and it just feels a lot for me to take in. And whereas a Victorian novel, even if it's tragic like Sylvia's Lovers, I can kind of sit with it for a while and coast along. But with a Shakespeare play, it's like so much happens. So they're brilliant. He was a genius, but I don't think I want to just read a ton of Shakespeare this year. And I think I actually struggle more with the comedies because it has this kind of facade that it is this lighthearted story, but there's really deep themes that are being commented on within the story. So yes, I did enjoy Twelfth Night, but the whole concept of someone being dressed up and getting to know someone, someone being disguised, and then getting to know another character, and the other character thinking they are a completely different person than they are, and then they have to process that they weren't that person at the end. It just seems like this kind of black cloud hanging over the entire play. So yeah, I've kind of stressed out as I read it. So while I appreciated Twelfth Night, I didn't really enjoy it. And then I read For the Love of Mike by Rhys Bowen, and I did really enjoy this. I am liking the direction the Molly Murphy series is going. I like how she's taking specific historical events and putting them in the series, and giving you a sense of time and place as you are reading it. And I'm really enjoying it. A few people in the group have said, this isn't really a mystery series. And I think, well, it's not a golden age mystery series. No, it's not the typical kind of thing that was at the start of the mystery genre when the mystery genre really came into its own in the golden age. But genres evolve and change, and so this to me is a very typical historical mystery series. So I think if you enjoy historical mysteries, that you will enjoy this series. And I'm looking forward to continuing on. Although I am not really a series binger, so I did ask the group if we could wait a bit before the next one. So we're taking a month off. I just don't want the speed at which we go through the series to ruin the series for me. And then I read A Better Man by Louise Penny. This is, I think, the 11th Inspector Armand Gamache book, and this series, I really have to pace myself through it because I just feel so deeply for Armand Gamache, and I want the best for him. And he is such a scapegoat of a character for all of the corruption that is in his department. People just love to shift all of the blame on him. So my heart hurts as I'm reading it, but the cases are always fascinating, and just such character development over the course of the series that you're spending with them. And it starts out with a person might be missing. Like she left home, she said bye to her husband, she was going on a trip, and now she hasn't been seen. And so they don't know if she just left him or is she missing, did something sinister happen? They're not sure. So it starts out relatively low key. But of course, a fair amount of the investigation is going to end up back in the little village of Three Pines and with these same characters. So yes, a wonderful series, and I hope she just keeps writing them forever. And then the next book that I read, unfortunately, May of the Moderns was almost a complete failure for me. I realized as I started a few of the modern classics that I had on my TBR, I was really just in the mood for Miss Reed, which feels like that era, but she's written later. I think she's like 60s, 70s, or maybe even 70s, 80s, 90s. She was just later than that era. And also it was a really bad start because I read Lucia in London. Is it right here? Oh, I have it up there. Anyhow, Lucia in London by E.F. Benson. And unfortunately, the character of Lucia just absolutely ruined this book for me. Do you ever have that happen where you love the writing that the author has? You love the plot line. You find the other characters interesting, but the main character ruins the book for you. And this is a case of like, oh, isn't it funny how awful she is? And I'm like, no, it's not funny. It's just irritating. So I'm devastated because I am fairly, I don't know, hit or miss with modern classic writing. Like a lot of it, I feel, as opposed to Victorian literature, I feel like you're really up close and personal with the characters. And I feel like sometimes modern classics can make you feel a little bit distanced from them. And so I really like E.F. Benson's writing. And I was like, I just have to keep going, and then I'll get to Map and Lucia, which is the best one. And by the time I forced myself through Lucia in London, I had zero motivation to continue on with Map and Lucia. And this is why I DNF books, because I then maybe could have just DNF'd that and moved on and enjoyed Map and Lucia. But since I didn't, now I'm really put off reading Map and Lucia. It will happen at some point, but I'm very unmotivated at this point to spend any more time with Lucia, because she's dreadful. She's just awful. Ugh. She's, for those of you who have watched Keeping Up Appearances, she's a very exaggerated hyacinth bouquet. Then one that was an utter delight was On Her Majesty's Frightfully Secret Service. This is the next Her Royal Spyness mystery in a series by Rhys Bowen. So another Rhys Bowen series I'm reading through. And these just keep being wonderful, delightful, frivolous, amateur sleuth historical mysteries. And I like we're getting a character arc with Georgiana, or Georgie as she's called by all her friends and family. And there is romance. And the next one is called 4 Funerals and Maybe a Wedding. So it's going to be the wedding book, and I can't wait. Kate and I will be reading it in the month of June. So we want to see the wedding. We want to see them tie the knot. Okay, then the next one that I read was The Tale of Cuckoo Brow Wood. This is the third in the Beatrix Potter mystery series by Susan Wittig Albert, and this one did not disappoint me. I like that it doesn't feel stagnant with Beatrix Potter's life. Things definitely feel like they are moving forward for her. The series starts when she buys Hilltop Farm in the Lake District. And then you continue to follow her getting to know more people in the community. And if I had known going into this series that the animals talk, it would have been like hard pass, no thank you. So I'm really glad I didn't know that going in. Susan Wittig Albert pulls it off really well. I am devastated there are only 7 books in this series. And my guess is that the final book will be when Beatrix Potter gets married. I don't know that for sure. But I am comforting myself because Susan Wittig Albert has 2 other cozy mystery series. I really find her writing delightful and diverting, and I think that hopefully I will enjoy some of the other series after that. The next book that I read was such a thrilling read, and it is Mortal Arts, and it is the second in the Lady Darby mystery series. And it is just so pacey, such a thriller. This definitely it's on my threshold as far as like graphic violence and just general scariness goes. But it is right on the threshold, so I find them fun. I would never want to read several in a row because I kind of have to chill out after I finish one, but they are excellent and just such compelling reads. I'm so excited that more continue to come out in this series. And then she also has the Verity Kent series. So if I do catch up with the Lady Darby mysteries, then there's another series from her that I can try. So yes, I really liked this one too because it involved things from the past, someone's reputation, things that had been said about them, and different ways that society viewed them. And Lady Darby is really examining whether these things are all true about them and the ways that society kind of likes to put people in boxes. And there is lots of mortal peril happening, and it's set in Scotland in the 1830s, and just really, really interesting and yeah, exciting. And then the next one that I finally finished, where is it? I have it right here. And that is The Ring and the Book. Roz from Scally Dandling about the books and myself. We finished The Ring and the Book. Yes, I hear those applause. We are so excited that we finished this. We made it through. I have to say, there was a lot of this that I felt very lost as I was reading it. But the parts that I glommed onto really resonated with me, and I have found myself pondering this and so sobered by this. It's really sad because it's about a murder that actually happened. And right, as I was finishing this, there was a very iconic trial that was just on everyone's minds. And so it made it feel kind of all the more real. Like if this had happened today, I would be watching people speaking on the stand about it. And there was one particular quote that was right in the last book. And to me, it was so potent, and I wanted to read it to you. So this is after all of the action, the trial's been done, the sentence has been made. It says, "The act over and ended, falls and fades. What was once seen grows what is now described, then talked of, told about, a tinge the less in every fresh transmission, till it melts, trickles in silent orange or wan gray across our memory, dies and leaves all dark, and presently we find the stars again. Follow the main streaks, meditate the mode of brightness, how it hastes to blend with black." And it makes me think of that line from Call the Midwife, "One day we will be memories." And that is such a motivation to really think about everything before you do it, and how there are ripple effects to all of our actions, and the things that we do really do matter. So this, while it is about the murder trial, it has so much to say about human nature in general. And a couple years ago, I was toying with reading The Fairy Queen, and then I ended up purchasing this, and then when I saw the language that it was written in, thought, I will never read this. And then a couple years go by, and I was finally brave enough to read it. And now, reading The Fairy Queen, I'm so happy that I read this first, because The Fairy Queen feels so much more accessible. And part of that is The Fairy Queen is primarily action-oriented. While this, the action-oriented parts, I really was able to follow everything that was happening and was really struck by those passages when its characters kind of ruminating on their life and reflecting. I had trouble really understanding those parts. So yes, I'm really, really pleased to say that I read it. So yeah, I don't know how I could ever do this justice. It was a lot to take in. But yeah, it's just wild what Robert Browning was able to write based on notes from this iconic murder trial. The next one that I read was Emily's Runaway Imagination. I did this as an audiobook with my boys and we all loved this. This is a Beverly Cleary I had read before and I really enjoyed. I think if you like Beverly Cleary's other books, you will really enjoy this one. She's a kind of imaginative, absent-minded character, a bit like Anne of Green Gables. I love the little world that she lives in, and one of the plot points is that they start a library in this little town. And I find that such a cozy and endearing plot point. She is an only child and her relationship with her parents is really, really sweet. And yeah, just a really delightful, sweet, classic children's book. And then I read Blackmoore by Julianne Donaldson. People have been telling me to try Julianne Donaldson for years, and I'm so happy I finally read Blackmoore. It was a very weird reading experience in that I sat down one afternoon, and through the course of the afternoon and into the evening, I ended up reading 100 pages. And then in the middle of the night, I woke up at 3 a.m. and could not get back to sleep. And so then I just stayed up 2 hours finishing the book and then was able to go to sleep for like a couple more hours. So it was very weird to just read it so quickly and also a lot of it in the middle of the night. But Blackmoore has, if you like sweet Regency romance, you will enjoy this. There is this iconic house, Blackmoore, that the main character has always been wanting to visit. And finally, she's able to go there, and it is a big house party novel with lots of misunderstandings and conflict, and just, it was excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I will be back with part 2 of my May reading wrap-up very soon. Bye.